like baseball greats Babe Ruth and Jackie Robinson, who both backed presidential candidates in their time. But when an athlete publicly puts their weight behind a candidate, how much does it influence who the average American votes for? I took the question to political experts and voters alike.
While she's not an athlete, Taylor Swift's connection to the NFL this year is unavoidable. And in the 24 hours after Swift endorsed Harris on social media, more than 400,000 people visited vote.org, a website that helps Americans register to vote.
The proposed settlement means that athletes that compete right here inside the WVU Coliseum and right here at Kendrick Family Ballpark, and football players that slap this block of coal right here at Milan Puskar Stadium will all receive compensation from the university. Among them was revenue sharing. Student athletes involved in the case argue they should receive a portion of the money their universities make off conference deals and in their athletics budgets. And now athletes are one step closer to receiving those payments. Does an athlete's endorsement change the way you vote? I'm James Dailey, and I'll ask voters that question. Mountaineer Playbook starts now. Coming up on Mountaineer Playbook, I'm James Dailey, and I'll tell you about how a class action lawsuit will fundamentally change the landscape of college athletics and put money in athletes' pockets right here at WVU. Voters in Missouri considered whether to legalize sports betting in that state, which was largely supported by the pro teams in St. Louis and Kansas City. The bill narrowly passed, making Missouri the 39th state to legalize sports gambling. When the Harrison County Board of Education voted 3-2 to consolidate the high schools, it meant football players on Liberty's high school team would soon be under these Friday night lights on Eagle Way. The 8,200 square foot state-of-the-art facility will be built with TrackMan technology. The tool tracks pitching and hitting in real time and provides data to help improve player performance. House vs. NCAA is a class action lawsuit that impacts student athletes who played from the fall of 2016 to today. The preliminary settlement requires schools to compensate these athletes at a total of more than $1 billion.
It has changed a lot, and candidly it's changed a lot really since 2020. From the time COVID hit until today, there's been more change than probably all the other years I've been in this business combined. So it is, it's a new way of doing things and a different business than it's ever been.
The proposed settlement means that athletes that compete right here inside the WVU Coliseum and right here at Kendrick Family Ballpark, and football players that slap this block of coal right here at Milan Puskar Stadium will all receive compensation from the university. Each school will share $21 to $22 million each year with athletes, or the average annual revenue of a modern-day power conference school. But WVU's current athletic budget is among the bottom third of all Power 4 institutions and near the bottom of the Big 12. And the amount of revenue required to be shared is expected to increase 4% each year. That means WVU could struggle to keep up.
WVU has absolutely every intention to be competitive in the Big 12, be competitive nationally, and how the steps that have to be taken to make that happen. It's brand new, so they're working on it. I think like all the other schools.
Each individual school will decide how they distribute their revenue share. But it's not clear yet if the settlement will also require the schools to comply with Title IX in the distribution, which regulates sexual discrimination on college campuses.
Our goal is to not negatively impact any sport. And besides that, I think it's still to be determined how that's all going to look. But we want to continue to support those Olympic sports that aren't generating the revenue as much as we can. But it's a brave new world, so still a lot to be determined.
The final approval hearing for the preliminary settlement is scheduled for April 2025. It's the reality of social media today for athletes and celebrities alike. Endorse a political candidate and face backlash. But in the 2024 election, some big names put their weight behind both presidential candidates. NFL star Brett Favre took the stage for President-elect Donald Trump in Green Bay. And LeBron James and Steph Curry made headlines when they backed Vice President Kamala Harris. Dr. Scott Tritchlow, a political science professor at WVU, says endorsements can have an impact.
People usually are already kind of set in terms of partisanship versus, say, endorsements in a primary. But at the same time, if you're hearing from somebody you really respect, someone who you think shares your values, at least on the margins, it could have an effect.
A study from Harvard's Kennedy School says athletes and celebrity endorsements also encourage voter participation and are good for democracy, even increasing voter registration.
While she's not an athlete, Taylor Swift's connection to the NFL this year is unavoidable. And in the 24 hours after Swift endorsed Harris on social media, more than 400,000 people visited vote.org, a website that helps Americans register to vote.
The it factor could make a difference for young voters. According to Tufts University, about 55% of voters ages 18 to 29 participated in the 2020 presidential election, when stars like Mia Hamm, Shaq, and A-Rod endorsed a candidate.
I think they definitely have a huge impact, especially because they're reaching out to more of the younger audience, especially with bringing out the celebrities that they have.
Harvard's study also found athletes and celebrities could help increase young voters' trust in political leaders and institutions. Austin Scott is in his second year at the helm of the Robert C. Byrd High School football program in Clarksburg. Scott was a running back on RCB's team himself, and at the time was coached by some of the members of Liberty High School's current coaching staff.
Some of those guys, they coached me when I played here. They were over here, and I always see them and talk to them. Yeah, I told them the door's always open.
The door is always open because soon Liberty and RCB will become one high school with one football program. When the Harrison County Board of Education voted 3-2 to consolidate the high schools, it meant football players on Liberty's high school team would soon be under these Friday night lights on Eagle Way. The two schools will merge starting in the fall of 2025 into RCB's facility.
There are certain sections of Clarksburg went to Liberty, certain sections went here, and now we're going to see the whole city. The whole city will be united under one high school.
For student athletes, there will be some major changes. A new coaching staff and more competition for a spot on the team.
I think every kid, as long as they work hard, they get a shot at, as much playing time as they want. And that could go for freshmen, JV, varsity, it really doesn't matter. So, that's what we preach to our kids, just come, put their hard hat on and work, and every opportunity will be given.
But there will be some changes in competition as well. Liberty competes in the AA division for athletics, one step below RCB, who sits at AAA. While this jump could prove challenging for some athletes, school officials say it also provides an opportunity to help grow their athletic programs.
We're excited really though, because we're going to be able to probably offer freshman football. We've always had strong JVs. Our JVs are only going to get stronger too. And I'm excited for their kids, because a lot of their kids the last few years, they've been hovering around that 500 number. And 500, it makes it hard to fill all sports, especially JV and varsity.
RCB's athletic staff say high school sports can be the bright spot Clarksburg rallies around.
Liberty's just right over the hill there. We've always known each other, people around here that grow up with each other. So you just hope that, the community comes together and kind of just gets behind the kids, and really that's all I want to see.
Scott is looking forward to the opportunity to mentor more kids from his hometown. If the preliminary settlement is approved, payments to student athletes impacted by the ruling could start as soon as May 2025. Public schools in the state have lost as much as $21 million in funding. In Harrison County, shrinking funds and student populations led the Board of Education to vote to consolidate 2 of the county's high schools next year. The stadium has undergone some changes in the past few years, but now they're adding its biggest addition yet, thanks to the help of Ken Kendrick. The consolidation of Robert C. Byrd and Liberty High Schools will put almost 1,100 students under the same roof, making it the largest school in the county.